live with Stefan, the founder of Wundergraph. He's a Miami-based founder and is working with a team globally on launching this product. Pretty interesting story. It's live on Product Hunt today. If you check out the link I just dropped into the room chat, you're able to go there and check it out. Please do take a minute to support. Just drop your feedback to what you think Stefan and his team are working on, and leave a couple comments if you have time to. But this is, as you know, Product Hunt, a 24-hour window for them to kind of amplify what they've been working on and have now launched on producthunt.com. They're sitting at number 6, and we're trying to get them into the top 5. So take a minute, vote if you feel called to do so. We're, of course, not asking for upvotes, just more so asking for feedback. But Stefan and I met back in Miami, and then you're saying that you and your co-founder met on Y Combinator. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that that's really interesting, and a lot of people always looking for co-founders.
Yeah, and that's probably like one of the toughest things is finding a co-founder. And so my background was I was a software engineer. I was good, but when you're a software engineer, you'll meet a couple people that they can just think in code, like they think in binary, and where you are compared to where they are, you'll never get there. And that's what my technical co-founder is. And so while I excel in the sales and marketing, he can visualize the entire architecture. And so I on Product Hunt literally put like, I have technical ability, but I'm looking for a technical genius. And find a co-founder on Y Combinator is literally like Tinder, but for finding a co-founder. So you literally make a profile, you match with some people, you go on some dates, and you see if you like them. And I did it twice. I met some kind of weird guy. The first time was kind of weird, and then the second time he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I'm a technical genius with a really good product that solves a really good problem, but I have no experience with sales and marketing." And I was like, "Okay, let me check out the product." And then since I had experience working with APIs and integrating them, I tried it out and I used it at my current job, or my old job, which was my current job then. And I was able to integrate our APIs 10 times faster. So something that took me 2 weeks in a regular sprint took me about 2 days using Wundergraph. And so that's when I was kind of like, okay, he's onto something here. And so that's kind of how we met. I really recommend find a co-founder from Y Combinator. It's super cool. And it's really, really well polished. Like it's literally like Tinder, but for finding a co-founder.
Yeah, definitely. I've used it before too, and that's a great shout out to them. If anybody's looking for a co-founder, drop it. We can put the link in for you. So you two met on Y Combinator, and basically he was already working on this product but wasn't gaining any traction for a couple of years. He had been the architect, the technical person behind it, and you came in and said, "This is dope. I was able to use it. It worked really well for me. Let me handle growth and sales," and took it to market. Talk us through what your game plan was when you saw this product. Was it even named Wundergraph at the time? Like what were they calling it? What's your co-founder's name?
So his name is Jens.
Okay, so Yent, what was Yent thinking at this time?
So at the time it was just Jens, and then I joined. And one of the things that I noticed right away was he had a very opinionated blog posts. They were these blog posts that like everybody's for GraphQL, and he would say GraphQL is not meant to be exposed over the internet. And that would rile up some developers. And if you know developers, they are very passionate about the technologies they use, and they're very passionate when someone disagrees with them. And so that's why selling to developers is probably one of the hardest things, because they think that they can build everything, so they won't try out your tool, which is always a super fun way. And so the first thing I noticed was these blog posts were really good. They were extremely technical and they were really opinionated. And so the first thing I thought was to separate the crowd, to get the people that would try the product away towards us, and the people that wouldn't even come closest away from us. And so what I did is I created a profile on all of the popular blog sites that developers hang out at. So Medium, Dev2, Hacker Noon. I created Reddit profiles. And so what I started to do was I started to segment out the old blog posts, and I kind of changed them up a little bit by adding like hot keywords like that were kind of trending, like API, GraphQL development, what else, API gateway. And I would put those within the blog posts, and then I would repost them across these blog sites and change the canonical link, which refers you back to your site. And so it's like a little bit of like reverse engineering. But basically what I did was post our blog post on a bunch of other places that had a really high domain rating, and they would just lead all the traffic back to us. And then in the first month, you could just see like an upload trend of people visiting our website. We went from maybe like 200 people visiting us in a week to like 2,000 people. And that was kind of crazy right away.
Crazy. I see Julian's in the audience. Julian is on the team at Entra UX UI. Feel free to join if you have any thoughts on this product that's live. Julian, Wundergraph, I think it's something that probably you would know a little bit more about. I'm just kind of learning the ins and outs of it. Why don't you give us like some use cases for that you've seen people are using Wundergraph for?
Sure. So one of our biggest customers is TripAdvisor. And what they do is with GraphQL, for those of you that are familiar with GraphQL, it's one endpoint and front-end developers call from that endpoint what they want. The thing is this endpoint is publicly exposed. And that can be dangerous if that gets into malicious hands, because you could just go in there and you can write a query that deletes everything. And so, yeah, it's a little technical, but basically you have this poll that if people get access to that poll, they can get inside your system and delete everything. And half of the developer community, actually more like 90% of the developer community, is like GraphQL is okay to expose publicly. And then there's 10% of us, which is Wundergraph, and then all the big FANG companies like Facebook, Twitter, that say you should never expose GraphQL. And so that was one of our huge blog posts, which was GraphQL should not be exposed over the internet. And so TripAdvisor, they're one of the big companies that agree with us, because if someone gets to that endpoint, they can delete all their data. So what they do is they use Wundergraph to aggregate all of their APIs. So think of like 15 to 20 different services, like databases, whatever they have inside their architecture, and they kind of clump it together in a package. And then now that package is a Wundergraph package, and they expose a different endpoint called a JSON RPC. So it's basically like a REST endpoint, which is in technical terms a lot more secure than a GraphQL endpoint. And so now they can expose it for third parties to, ask for information, to write queries and things like that. But the advantages of it is that it's so much harder to hack. It's so much more protected, and it's so much more, it's easier for them to write with. And so now they don't have to worry about exposing that endpoint. So that's one of the use cases that we've seen. Another use case that we've seen is simply just creating applications quickly. So probably 30% of our user persona and profiles are agencies. So people that need to, they get a big contract and they need to quickly create a product for them. And so they don't really have time for development. They have a small team and they need to get to the market quickly. And so they use Wundergraph to quickly grab these data sources, and within a weekend, they can scale it to millions. And so they grab a database, they grab an API, Stripe, they grab a CRM, they grab a CMS, all these different type of technologies. They bundle them all together, and the code or the glue that holds it all together is Wundergraph. And that glue also comes with like, paint, and it comes with everything you need to build a house. And then on Sunday, you're shipping this to your customer and the house is already done and it's all held together. And all that glue and all the paint and everything that you needed was provided to you by Wundergraph. So that's another one of the use cases that we provide.
You're doing a great job of like breaking down this complicated language into things even I'm able to kind of grasp and wrap my head around. Julian's commenting in that Wundergraph is a very cool product, and he's familiar with it as well.
Oh, cool.
So that's a huge plus, and it's trending on Product Hunt. Julian, make sure you head over to Product Hunt and drop a comment there. Give him a tweet out on Twitter if you can. And anyone else in the room who wants to join, ask questions of Stefan, we have him here with us. So talk about growth. What type of growth have you seen since you came on the team, and what other tips do you have for people that they feel like they have product market fit, which obviously Wundergraph had? And I think that that's something important to think about as a founder myself when I'm thinking about, growth. I don't even have product market fit yet, so now I shouldn't be thinking about that necessarily. But once you have that, trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah, that's a good question. So regarding product market fit, I still think we haven't found it yet. And the reason I say that is because Paul Graham says you'll know. Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, he says you'll know is when you find product market fit when there's so many customers asking you for so many things, and you can't even begin to start adding those things on. And that's when you receive product market fit, because everything's on fire and people want your product and they're going crazy for it. And so we've gotten kind of close. Like we get waves of people going crazy, like today on Product Hunt and things like that. But I feel like the day that that happens, like you'll definitely see me like freaking out on Twitter, and that'll be going crazy. But it is a good question. So like, how can you get to like that growth to get to product market fit? And the most important thing to know that I think is useful in every startup is 80% of your growth is going to come from just 20% of the things you do. And so when you first start out, we tried everything. We tried, we tried on Twitter, we tried on Reddit, we tried all different types of places. And when you start to do that, you'll see traction in probably 2 to 3 of those things. And when you see those things, for example, for us was posting blog posts and creating content. Everywhere else didn't work. Maybe we got 5-10% from there, but 80% came from blog posts and content. And so when we saw these 2 places that, 20% of our effort was going to, but 80% of our return was coming back from, we doubled down on them. So we started putting out way more blog posts. We started putting more research into SEO. And the thing about SEO is it takes forever, but once you build it and you write that blog post, you have to think in years. So you write a blog post today, in a year, it's going to bring you traffic. And so that's exactly what it does. And so we doubled down on blog posts, and then we started doubling down on content. And the blog posts are cool because you can take the blog posts and actually turn them into video content. All you have to do is just get on camera and just kind of read through it and talk about it, or you can just code along with it. And so that's kind of the ways that we saw growth at first. Another big one that we saw was community. So Wundergraph is open source, meaning that anyone can contribute to it, anyone can come help out. If you see something you want to add to it, feel free. The repo is open. You can just come and submit a PR, which is like you add code to it, and then it's like we can approve it and merge it into the product, which is always super cool. So it gives that feeling of, anyone can join and be a part of it. And so that was super exciting today on Product Hunt, because we launched open source 3 months ago, but today was to celebrate the 20 plus people that contributed to Wundergraph that helped us get to where it is now, because it's open source, anyone can contribute. And when you build a community around a product, it's crazy what they'll do for you. Like you ask them to tweet, they go and they write 5 tweets. You ask your customers like, hey, you contributed, do you mind telling a story about it? They'll go and tell a story about it. So for us, the 3 biggest things we did was we doubled down on the blog posts, we doubled down on the content we created from the blog posts, and then we started really building a community. We would do events with them, we would engage with them, we would, help them out whenever they could. Like my phone would go off in the middle of the night and someone's asking like on a different time zone, what's this? And I would get up and I would help them out, because, it's your community. You want to help them out. And once you can create that sense of community, the rewards are endless. Like we only have about like 600 people now in our community, but they're like, the word is like ride or die. Like they'll do anything for us. And so we're slowly growing. We get like 5 or 6 new people a day, which is always awesome.
That sounds very exciting. Talk us through how you have prepared for this Product Hunt launch. You're doing really well. That's kind of crazy. And I know that you went about a strategic approach. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I actually haven't slept since you launch at 12:01 Pacific time, which is 3:01 our time. And so I couldn't sleep because I was too nervous, because our investors were like, oh, like we can't wait to see you guys. And I was like, oh my God, like they're going to be watching. And so what we did is we did a bunch of things. Like 2 weeks ago, we started sending it out to the community like, hey guys, you need a Product Hunt launch, like we're getting ready. And so we rallied up our community and we made sure that they made an account before. So that way there weren't that many balloons that say like, this is a new user. And so we had them. And then we, you actually gave us a tip, was we set up a script. And so we had all of our social scripts that we were going to ready to post. And so we created all the scripts, we created our emails, and we had different types of emails. We had the ones to our investors, we had the ones that were our beta users, our alpha users, our master list, and whatever. And we segmented those out to send out 2 emails, one, and then another email, I think 6 hours later, to people that didn't open it. And so that was really useful. So we set up that automatically so that that would happen. And then with the scripts that you told us to already have planned out, we set up tweets. And then about today's Tuesday, so on Friday or Thursday and Friday, we met with our customers as like an account executive, see how everything's going. And we told them what's going on, and we asked them if they could support us. And we also made a list of all the people that have contributed to it, get all their email information. And so we kind of compiled all that list. And so we kind of had everything set up and ready to go. And then most important thing was tell your friends and family. So I told my girlfriend, her family, my family. I told everyone like we're getting ready. I was like, don't just upvote us, like, support us, like, because we didn't want just upvotes. We wanted actual people to support us. And then the other important thing is, this one I think is the best tip, is make a list of 5 to 10 influencers if you can. So Ryan from Miami Tech, he was one of them. Mayor Suarez was one of them. James Quick, which is a famous guy for in like the developer community, was one. David Karish, which is a Orlando founder of Stately, he was one of them. And so we had a list, and we promised them we're going to send them all mugs or like some like Wundergraph swag like this in
Yeah.
exchange for some help. And they were like, yeah, like we will love you, we'll support you or whatever. And so then on launch day, this was probably the most important thing, is because you have 24 hours and it's so long because it's on Pacific time. You have to segment it out. So like I automatically segmented our lists to hit Europe first. Like whoever's in Europe at that time, it's 9 a.m. for them. So they started upvoting. And then when we started getting over to like, 12 p.m. them, 6 a.m. here, I started to hit America a little bit and tell them what's going on. And then we started doing all this, and all the things that we were segmenting was like email lists, literally texting all my friends, like sending them the link to upvote, sending them everything to, all of our users, everything. And so we segmented everything out, and the segments are still going right now. I think we have like 2 more automations that should close, but that's probably the most important, is get a list of influencers, make sure everything's automated before launch day, and then have a goal. Our goal was 150 upvotes, but we doubled that, which was awesome, and 20 comments, and now we have like, I think like 80. So that was pretty awesome. But we're actually really surprised with what's happened. It's actually gone crazy, to be honest.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing on the website traffic side of things? Are you guys seeing a jump?
Kinda, but like, so last week we released a crazy blog post that like was really controversial. It was basically saying like DevOps would be eliminated, and that got us like 70,000 concurrent users over the week. And so this one was not as bad. Like we had 25,000 this week, which is still a jump. Like our average is around like 5 to 10K, which is still good. So the website traffic was great, but the most important things were the signups for our next launch, which is the serverless offering. And so we had like 30 signups, and of those 30, there were some really good leads in there of potential customers. So like 5 to 10 really good customers. And then we had 2 VCs reach out to us, and they were like, hey, I saw your product hunt launch. And it's kind of funny because the people below us were actually cheating, because every time we would get ahead of them by like 40, I would look away and they would jump like 30 spots in like 2 minutes, which was crazy. So I thought that was super weird.
Yeah, I'm sure Product Hunt will flag and capture them. They're pretty good about finding like bot-driven launches and things like that. So hopefully they catch that that cheating product person. We don't like that kind of stuff in the community. Yeah, it's been very exciting to see, and I appreciate you sharing all of these tips with everybody. If you guys have questions, drop them now, because we're going to be wrapping up. This is just a quick little live stream, and we'll be keeping our eye on the launch for the rest of the day, the rest of the 24 hours. We have until 3 a.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Pacific, to get all of the 24-hour time frame in for Wundergraph. What's next for you? You're here in Miami. We definitely need to see you out at some Miami Tech events, I hope. But what else is going on?
So tomorrow I'm taking a day off so I can sleep in. So that's definitely in, because I'm so tired. But what's next is working on Wundergraph Cloud, which will basically allow you to take your infrastructure, like everything that you connected with Wundergraph, and deploy it virtually to the cloud in under 30 seconds. So you don't even have to use AWS anymore. You can literally build an application in a weekend. You can literally put your whole architecture and infrastructure and have an infra-less backend, like where you don't have to worry about anything related to DevOps. And so our alpha launched today. So we have alpha users actually using it today. We have about like 35 handpicked users. And then our beta is going to launch in about a month and a half. So we're probably like heads down doing that. And then I think probably next Wednesday, I'll go to a Miami Tech event. I haven't been in a while because I've been so busy, but I definitely need to get out and do one. So I think that's what's next.
Totally. And you guys are raising a round, you say? are going to be raising?
Yes. Yeah, kind of. Probably Q1, we're gonna go for Series A. We've had some really cool interest from like some pretty big VCs. They've been like, "Hey, like, what are you up to? Can we keep an eye on you?" Like, we're like, "Yeah, no problem." So that'll be cool. But like, also, this economy is kind of crazy, so you never know. So we gotta
Right.
see.
Well, you guys are doing great, and it's nice to have a founder building in Miami. So keep doing what you're doing. I see Zara has asked a question. Thanks for the informative stream. No problem. Thanks for joining. We appreciate having you. What type of marketing strategies do you focus on as an early stage startup, or is the focus on SEO and community building?
So that's a good question. It really depends on the product. So if you're building like a developer tool, developers don't like to be sold, they like to be educated. So SEO, blog posts, content videos, things like that. But if you're building something probably for like business to consumer, that can be a little bit different. You can use Facebook ads, Instagram ads, any type of ads like that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like ads personally, but I think uh, they can work if you're doing like business to consumer. But the marketing strategies in the beginning are kind of like trial and error. Like you try something and it fails and you're like, okay, let's move on. You try something and you fail and you're going to have to try like 20 of them, but you'll see like two or three of them were like, okay, this was kind of big. And when you see those two or three of those, you kind of double down on it. And like SEO, I think is always a good one. Like SEO, you should always focus on, but that's a long-term one. So you won't really see any returns right away. But like we have a blog post we wrote like a year and a half ago, and per month it brings us 6,000 users or
Great.
readers. And we wrote it a year ago. We haven't even touched it.
Blog post, and sounds like a little sprinkling in a little bit of controversy in the blog post doesn't hurt at all.
Nope, not at all. You got to be controversial, stand out.
Yeah, listen, I got to jump to this next live stream, but Stefan, you're more than welcome also to keep this room open for a few more minutes. If you have some sort of demo you want to show, you can start the sharing your screen at the bottom. I'm going to open up a room with Nico Hodel from he also builds apps and things of this nature. So when that goes out, a notification is going to go out to all of my followers, and they may bubble into here too. So I don't know, it might be worth it for you to keep the room going and do a quick little demo and see what you get. But I've got to jump to this next room.
Okay, awesome. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you. Hopefully you'll be at Miami Tech Happy Hour Wednesday. I'll be there. But thank you so much for having me on and for sharing about Wundergraph and for supporting us with our product on launch today. It was awesome. Also, this app is actually really cool. I think we might use this for streaming.
Yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity to learn from you and to support you. That's what my role is as a product under master. So I appreciate you reaching out and keeping in touch.
Of
So
course,
should I
thank you.
keep this room open for a demo? Do you see how to share your screen down there?
Yeah, but I don't have a demo prepared actually. Like I'd have to open up the IDE and like install everything. And so I don't, but if anyone has any questions, I can answer them. But if not, we could jump to the next one.
Okay, great. So then when you're ready to, I'm going to leave. If anyone has questions or wants to come up on stage, raise your hand and you can chat with Stefan, and I'm sure he can spend a few more minutes talking growth strategies or talking about API integrations or being an early startup founder, finding a co-founder. Any of these topics would be great. And then when you're done, just click the end the leave button, and then you just click end room and it'll wrap it up for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Miriam.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone for joining as well, and I hope to see you guys in a few.
I'm not sure how this works. Anybody have any questions or anything like that I can answer? Oh, I don't know what I just clicked. Any questions? Nope. Anybody want to come up? Okay, cool. I am also going to drop. Thank you guys for having me on. Later.